Welcome to Crunch Time, a program dedicated to helping you survive the crunch times in your life, whether they are caused by accidents, natural disasters, poverty, economic recession, depression, or all-out economic collapse, or whether they are caused by your realization that today's food supply is being contaminated by artificial fertilizers, pesticides, and genetically modified organisms, and over-processing of crops into what can hardly be called food. We want to help you through the crunch times in your future by teaching you what we have learned about organic gardening, food storage, and food preparation. We'll bring you into our kitchen and into our garden and share with you what we have learned, hopefully before your crunch times arrive. Now here is Chef Francois. Welcome back to Crunch Time, where Jesus is King and all our desires are to serve Him. Today we're going to go do some work in the garden. Today is December 11th, the day after my birthday and anniversary, and we are going to go to the garden and winterize some storage. I'll explain it when I get to it. Here we're going to ride our bike, ride my trike that I ride year-round, and it is cold this morning. It is below freezing. It started out about 20 degrees this morning. It's about 27 right now, almost noon, 11:30 or so, and we're going to ride into the neighborhood here, and we're going to round the corner, and we're going to come to the garden, and then from there I'll explain what we're going to do.
Strawberries are mulched okay. The kale seems to be doing okay, some of it at least. The spinach looks like it's been packed down a little bit by the snow. Rutabagas are doing just fine. I want to put some of those bags on top of some rutabagas, but not these. Maybe the ones out in the back over there. Cauliflower plants still have green leaves we can use. Kale and spinach down here are kind of low to the ground. Daikons inside the glass are doing just fine. On the back corner of the garden on December the 11th, kale seems to be doing okay, except for the bottom leaves are touching the ground. Over here, most of the kale, over here, this kale got eaten up by the cabbage worm. It's still got some lettuce there, that's good. These are the rutabagas I want to cover. And I think if I put bags on that side, and maybe a pole down the middle and bags on top, that should do it. I will use that pole down there, maybe a couple of those over there. So I'm going to pause until I figure out how I'm going to do it. Alright, I have put a pole down the middle, this one that's got a crook on both ends. I put stakes each direction so it won't tip over, and then I'm putting bags over top of the rutabagas so they'll be protected from the cold. That's the way I'm going to do it. I have covered these 2 or 3 rows of rutabaga, and I've covered the rows in the back with the pole underneath. These are well insulated and shouldn't have a problem all winter. Those over there, I had 2 pipes down the middle, and if there's any problem, it's because there's no bag on the bottom here where that Brussels sprout is. Speaking of which, I can harvest some of that. That's a good Brussels sprout still. Anyway, I'm going to harvest the daikons. Here's our garlic. It's growing just fine. Kale and spinach are growing good. And I'm going to harvest these green head daikons. Guess I should get my shovel out. Some of these are frozen right in. Yeah, I think I'll go get the small shovel. Between these and the red ones at home, I'm going to make myself some pie today. Here I should put some poles out that way and cover with bags too. See what I got here. I got sticks. Got those planks. Let's see if I've got a plastic bag I can use. I don't see one. Yeah, I think I'm going to put the planks across there and put some more bags right there. That's going to warm that up. Let's get these green heads out. I'm not eaten by something. Alright, have all the green heads right here. They're frozen, but they're edible. And I'm going to make a pie out of them. I'm going to bring those planks over here and put some bags over these rutabagas and leave these rutabagas open. Alright, now I'm going to put some bags on that. Okay, still the 11th of December. Cold frost hasn't thawed today at all. I have covered this section of rutabagas. I've covered the section in the back. This one I used planks. Back there I used a pipe. In that section there I used 2 pipes to hold the bags off the rutabagas so it wouldn't squash them. And these other rutabagas here and here I'm going to leave out in the weather, and some over there. I'll leave out in the weather, see if the snow protects them, and we'll find out. I wanted to put some Agribond on here, but it's a little bit windy. I really need some help. I don't think Shao is home. So I may or may not put Agribond on this before I leave. Alright, fixing to leave. We covered rutabagas there, there, and over there. We got a few bags left over. Strawberries are mulched with hay. And I'm not putting the Agribond on those 2 sections today. But I am gonna paddle up out of here. Alright, we'll try it. My feet, I mean my gloves are wet, so my hands are gonna get cold on the way home if I go fast. I don't plan on going fast. Daikons under the glass are still working, still growing good. Alright, it is 12:30. My hands are cold. It's wet, wet, wet. Cold hands. Oh, I should have changed my gloves when I got to the garden. Got some good ones over there. They're waterproof. I don't know why I wore these and got them all wet. Ah, 12:50. I wonder if any of the gardens got any sun right now. Looks like it's all in a shadow to me. Alright, let's check out. Oh, hands are froze. Yeah. This got none at all today, right down here where the frost is. And it's just starting to get some right there. And the sun is going right behind those trees. So it'll basically get none. Alright, I want to harvest, if I can dig them up, these radishes. There's one. There's another one. Another one. There's 4. I think I'll leave some more in for a while on that end, and this one in the middle, and these on this end. I think I'll just take the 4, add them to the daikons, and make a pie. Okay, welcome back to the kitchen. We have harvested some greenhead daikon and some red daikons, all of which are very dirty right now. So I'm going to rinse those off, and we're going to make a pie. Now, you all have seen me make pie out of squash, rutabaga, making pie out of radish is something that's not very common, even in our kitchen. But the radishes, even though they have been frozen a number of times, including the green heads, are still good, especially the part that was down below the ground. You would think you couldn't make a pie, at least a sweet pie, out of radishes, because radishes got a very strong taste. Well, it just so happens when you cook it, that taste is gone. Basically, all we're going to do with these is just dice them up, boil them, and then use it the same way we would squash or pumpkin or rutabaga. It's just going to be diced up, and once it's soft, after we've cooked it until it's soft, we're going to put it in the blender, puree it,
And we're going to add our seasonings and our sugar and our milk and eggs. So we started off with a very dirty looking bunch of vegetables that to some people it would have been garbage. But in survival mode, there will be lots of people eating out of garbage cans. And this won't be out of a garbage can, it'll just be out of the garden. So we're going to dice these up. They don't have to be real small because we're boiling them, we're not stir frying them. So we don't have to have them as small as we do when we're trying to save fuel on a wood stove like we did on episode 23. These greenheads seem to be a little better at surviving the frost. White daikon would have been mush by now. Red radishes like this in my freezer. I could use those as well, basically the same way. It's just they won't quite have the firmness that fresh ones have. But they can still be used to make a pie. So, green and red, it will be colorful. Can't really use them in a salad like you can meat. So, green and red radishes. Run some hot water in a couple times to warm up these frozen things since they were out in the garden and they were so cold. Alright, I'm going to let that cook while we dig out the makings of a pie crust. I'm not going to bother digging out the whole wheat flour today, I'm just going to use the white flour. Half and half would be good, but pie crust will be easier to work with if I use just a white one. So, we'll start off with 2 cups of flour. And then we'll use some vegetable oil. Half a cup. Now before I go putting my oil and milk into that flour, I'm going to want a little bit of salt in there. Alright, I have a half a cup of oil in a 1 cup measuring cup. And I'm going to put 3 or 4 tablespoons of milk, which will bring it almost to the top of that cup. Then we'll mix it up real good over top of the flour, just in case we spill it, like I always do. Then we'll just dump it in. Mix it up with a fork until it starts making balls or dough. And then once it starts getting doughed up like that, I'll just scrape off our fork and start making a ball of dough. Normally, I wrap this up with a little bit of wax paper. Just to let it glutenize. Wrap it up like that and let it sit for a while. But
looks like it might be workable right now. So I'm gonna lay my paper out on top of this cutting board. I'm gonna lay my wax paper out. And it's got plenty of liquid in it, so it's probably glutenized a lot quicker than normal. I should put that on a different burner so I can work here without getting my arm too hot. Okay, once it's glutenized enough so that it's sticky, at least sticky to itself, we want to spread it out on the wax paper. Much easier. Okay, once we get it thin enough, put my pie dish right on top of it and pick this whole assembly up, including cutting board. Turn it down like that, and then peel off the wax paper. Let the pie crust fall into the dish. And then fancy up my edges however I want to do that. I've got plenty of pie crust here, so I'm going to make it nice and tall. Put it off to the side. Welcome back. And we have boiled our radishes and turned down the heat. They are nice and soft now. So I'm going to go ahead and drain those into a colander and cool them off with some cold water right out of the tap. The only reason we have to cool them off is because we're going to be putting eggs in with this in the blender, and if it's too hot, we're going to end up with cooked eggs before it has a chance to cook in the pie to make our custard slash filling. I'm going to measure out 3 heaping cups because it's not puree, it's chunks. So we'll have 1, I'm going to try packing it in, I suppose. 2, 3. We've got very, very little left here, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it right in. I'm glad my pie crust is plenty tall, but we're going to use 1/2 cup of milk. And we're going to be putting at least 1 cup of sugar, which will act as a liquid as well. So we'll go ahead. Sometimes you got to burp the air out of it to get it. Something else that will act as a liquid are the 2 eggs that we're going to put in. Now normally I'm used to putting these eggshells back in the egg carton, but since I want those eggshells in my compost pile so I can have that calcium to put back into the soil, and we put the eggshells into the compost pile. Much better. Now, last time I made radish pie, I flavored it with just vanilla. I could use vanilla, I could use cocoa, I could use cinnamon, I could use allspice, a number of different things I could use, but I think we'll start off with vanilla. Alright, we're going to use 1 and better than that. We're going to do the experiment that I've been planning on doing for a long time. We use less sugar than normal. And we're going to flavor it with emergency stash flavoring, which will be, oh, let's use cherry. Wait a minute, do I have raspberry? Yeah, I still have raspberry. I have Kool-Aid, cherry flavored. I have Kool-Aid fruit punch flavored, and I've got raspberry flavored Weilers. I've been wanting to try the raspberry flavored Weilers in a pie or cake recipe, but I haven't gotten to it. So here's my chance. It is pre-sweetened soft drink mix. So it is going to have plenty of sweetener in there. So I could have tried it without any sugar at all, but then I don't think my consistency would have been right. So I'm going to take about half of this package. And we'll see what that tastes like before I go any further. See if I'm missing anything. I don't need cinnamon. I've got eggs, milk, radishes, and sugar. We've got everything in there we need to make a pie. And total height of this, 5 cups total. If I have too much in here, I'm going to go ahead and put some of it into a blank pie dish or a casserole dish, and we'll let it cook in there because my wife is allergic to the gluten in the pie crust, and she likes having pie once in a while, especially if it's artificially sweetened. Depth is that one. And we're going to put them both into the oven. Turn it on to 350 degrees. Bet you've never seen radish pie. Well, here is our pie after cooking it and cooling. And I'm going to cut a piece right now. Looks like it's plenty firm, made out of radishes. And here is the part that I cooked in the casserole dish. It was fairly thin, and I pulled it out of the casserole dish and left it separate. And I could have used a little bit more raspberry flavoring. Didn't use quite a half a package, but it's plenty sweet. And it certainly doesn't taste like radishes. In the last minute of our show, I'd like to tell you about the real reason for this show. Jesus Christ, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Without Jesus as my Savior, I would not be confident entering into these trying times that lay ahead. If Jesus is not your Lord and Savior, I suggest you send me an email at crunchtime@roadrunner.com and ask me how you can join the God who loves you, His Son Jesus Christ, and His disciples in everlasting life. For now, I say to you, God bless and keep you and yours. I'll see you next week on Crunch Time with Chef Francois.